What's good, Hoopers? In today's video, we're going to go over functional hamstring exercises to help you build your hamstring strength following an ACL surgery or hamstring strength, especially if you used a hamstring graft for your ACL reconstruction. So in this exercise, we're going to go from kind of more of a basic hinging pattern to more progressive single leg hamstring functional movement, essentially. So really want to try and build up the strength of your hamstrings because they are a huge ACL helper. So why that happens is because the hamstring secondarily prevents hyperextension or anterior translation of the tibia, and that's kind of the main function of the ACL. So the hamstring tends to be called the ACL helper. Another thing is that the hamstring often gets overlooked and doesn't get rehabbed enough, even for those who don't have hamstring graft taken for the ACL. So if you're going through ACL rehab, this is a great kind of progression to go through to help build up the hamstring in a more functional position. If you need help with things to get to this point, so like you really want to focus on isolated hamstring strength, check the link in the description below. We go over like isolated hamstring exercises that are more early stage. This is going to be more of your middle stage rehab. Okay, so we're going to get to the exercises now. The first one is going to be a double leg RDL or a hinge pattern. And we really want to make sure we master this movement. So what I'm going to use is pretty much a stick. You could use like a PVC pipe, broomstick, very light barbell if you have one, but something pretty much with minimal to no weight would be great ideally to start off with. So you want 3 points of contact kind of right at your tailbone, your mid back at the spine, and then your head. And you want your core tight, stomach a little tucked, feet about hip width apart. And from there, you're gonna hinge straight down. It's very soft knee bend until I feel a nice little hamstring stretch or hamstring tension. And I want all 3 points of contact to maintain. So I'm keeping a neutral spine, and I'm gonna push to the ground, squeeze my glutes to come back up, okay? So again, when you hinge down, you really wanna make sure all 3 points stay in contact. You don't wanna use your head that way. You don't want to arch your back or round out your back too much where you lose contact at the low part of my back, and you don't want to arch your back so you miss the middle part of your back. So same thing, 3 points of contact, hinge down all the way up. So you really want to master that movement. Once you get good with that, then you get rid of it, arms straight down in front of you, hinge all the way down until you feel a nice hamstring stretch, hamstring tension. Push through the feet into the ground to squeeze back up to return to the starting position, okay? So you get really good with that, making sure your form's good, making sure you feel your hamstring, glutes, and a little of your low back to be working because it is a posterior chain exercise. It's gonna have everything essentially from here backwards working to stabilize, okay? After you get good with that, then you could add in some loads. So I'm gonna grab kettlebell here. Same thing, feet hip width apart. Now when you have weight, you want to make sure the weight doesn't win and pull you forward. You want to engage your lats, squeeze your shoulder blades down and back. Pretend like that stick is still there, 3 points of contact. Hinge straight down, soft knee bend. Keep squeezing your back, don't let it round you out. Keep things nice and tight. Hold there, feel the hamstring engage. Push to the ground, come back up. So just real quick, a lot of times I like using the verbal pattern, pushing through the ground. Some people feel like they want to pull up the weight, and when people tend to do that, we see overuse of the erector spinae or your back muscles, and you really want to make sure you're using your legs. So when you hinge down, feel like you're pushing through the ground, not picking up. So you want to push through the ground to come up, don't pick up the weight, if that makes sense, okay? So in terms of rep ranges for all of these, you want to be somewhere between like 8 to 12 reps, somewhere between 2 to 3 sets, depending on where you're at with your rehab and how comfortable you are with this. You can also start somewhere from the beginning and use that as a warm-up to progress to this progression of exercise that we'll get to in a second. But now we're going to progress from double leg to staggered. So this is what we call kickstand or staggered RDL. So my left leg is going to be the reference leg and the working leg. So about 80% of my weight, 90% of my weight is going to be on this front leg. My back leg here is going to be tippy-toeing there for more balance and stability. So we're gonna try and work my left leg as much as we can. Hands on hips or hands out straight in front of you. Same thing, engage the core, squeeze the back muscles, engage your lats, hinge down, soft knee bend, feel that hamstring tension, push, squeeze all the way to the top. Okay, and then one more time, hinge down, core engage, same body mechanics, same mechanisms, same muscles as you should be feeling working throughout all these exercises, okay? So once you master that and good with that, then you could grab some weight. I'm gonna grab kettlebell here. You could go same side for a little bit more of load on that specific leg. If you want a little bit more core activation and more of this oblique sling, you're gonna hold it on your other side. So two different purposes. For this demonstration, I'm gonna go same side because I want more of just that leg to be working. Since I have my back leg for stability, I want this to be mostly a strengthening exercise, okay? Or you could grab two weights to get rid of that lateral movement and just focus on strength. So same thing, core tight, hinge all the way down, feel that hamstring tension, keep the back engaged, push through the ground all the way back up. Okay, so just one more time, engage everything, hinge down, don't lose your form, nice and tight, push through and squeeze. Okay. Next progression is kind of in between the staggered and single leg. We like this because you get your other leg up, similar to what you're going to be doing when you do a single leg RDL. So for purposes, I'm going to face you and you kind of get to see this pattern and what's going on this view. So same thing, my left leg is going to be my reference leg. Right leg is going to use a wall, a bench or something, but still majority of my weight's going to be on the front leg. 90%, maybe 10% on the back leg. You're gonna grip the ground with your foot, so really working on balance a little bit more. And then you're gonna hinge down, same thing, soft knee bend. As you can see, I'm not rotating from the hips. Everything's staying nice and square. My body's not rotating, everything's staying nice and square. Hinge down, feel that hamstring tension, push through the ground and squeeze. Okay, same thing when you grab a weight, hold on the left side for a little more strength. Both arms if you want more weight, and then opposite arm if you want to work your core and stability a little bit more, okay? So one more time, weight on this side, hinging down, tension, push all the way up and through, okay? So then the final progression is a single leg RDL. Same mechanics apply, except now you're not going to have your opposite leg for stability, so it's really important to work on this balance and stability. So now we're getting into more of multi-movement or multiple muscles working coordination to provide the stability. So now you don't have your opposite foot for extra guidance, so you're really going to work on stability at this point, and a little bit of hamstring activation as well, or posterior chain activation. So grip the ground with your foot. You can go hands on hips or arms straight out in front of you. You're going to hinge down as far as you can with that hamstring tension, making sure you're not rotating from the hips out or in. Keep everything nice and square, so hands on hips are helpful with keeping yourself accountable. Feel that tension, push through the ground, come back up, get that good squeeze there, and then repeat. Really focusing on good form. You're going to feel your feet and ankle muscles working hard to provide that stability, as well as your hamstring and glute. Okay, so to progress now, we're going to grab the same kettlebell. I'm going to go opposite arm, just because it's going to make more sense with how our bodies move in sequence with that counterbalance. So you can grab two weights if you want to focus more on strength. We're going to be focusing a little bit more on stability with this. And when I hinge down, I'm going to aim this kettlebell kind of over my second, third toe as I hinge down, okay? So I'm going to hinge, same pattern, weight kind of towards my second through third toe, everything nice and tight, push to the ground, all the way back to starting position, okay? So mess around with it, really gonna challenge your single leg stability, control, and balance with all of this stuff, especially when you get to the single leg RDL with the weight. Find where the right challenge is for you. Don't jump into a single leg RDL if you haven't done a double leg RDL, if you can't hinge correctly. So really master the movements from the earlier exercises up until now, because your hamstring does need the love, your single leg does need that stability and balance. So really work on challenging yourself in an appropriate way. 2 to 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps for each of these, and use them as a warm-up to get to this level. And hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned something new and got some value out of this. If you did, please like, subscribe, share with family and friends. We are the Basketball Doctors.